Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Pete Pino, Athletic Director of Rio Grande. And Pete, thanks for coming on my show.
You're welcome, Mr. Davis. Thank you for having me.
What a career you've had. And long overdue for not being on the Steve Davis Show. But I tell you, you know, native New Mexican, born in Albuquerque. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I tell you, just talk about your high school career, and then we'll get into about what you do at Rio Grande as an athletic director.
Well, I went to high school right here about 4 blocks from this building at St. Mary's High School. That's when it was a senior high school. And I enjoyed my stay at St. Mary's. I met a lot of good people, very good people. Bay Perenni was the head coach there. And Frank Roman was the track coach there. Good people, interested in kids, loved kids. Went to UNM, got my degree, and from the time that I was 5, 6, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to coach kids. And I got my degree at UNM, and I got my first opportunity to coach. To be a teacher in physical education, which it was one of my favorite things that I wanted, and I also got to coach at West Mesa. I had a lot of good people there as mentors. Jimmy Juarez was the head football coach. That was the time that West Mesa in football was very dominant, especially with Ray Bars and that.
I was going to ask if you got to coach Ray Bars.
Yeah.
I've never met Ray Bars, but I've heard so many stories about him and about how he just dominated football. And
Ray Bars was a super kid, a super athlete, just excellent person to work with. I know he got in trouble later on, but still, the person.
He's still a legend.
Yes.
People talk about. Our Marty Watts. I don't think if Marty Watts is Salesforce. He talks about tackling Ray Bars. To this day, I made a tackle on him.
Ray Bars was 6'2", 210 pounds, could run the 100 in 9.8. And he was fearless. I can see why people would remember a tackling a person that big and that aggressive.
So you said you wanted to coach. You knew you wanted to coach. I know when you went to West Mesa, you coached 3. You were assistant coach for 3 sports.
Yes, sir. I coached. I started off coaching assistant in football, assisting in basketball, assisting in track and field.
And Fred Romero, you got to work. I know his son. You got to know at La Cueva. Got to know him very well. But what a legend that man was.
He was a legend at West Mesa. A lot of years, a lot of success at West Mesa. I'm talking about the father.
Right.
And he ran a program. He set a program and he stuck to it, and that's why I think he had his success.
Well, you went to West Mesa, then got to coach for Albuquerque High.
Okay.
Or no, you went to middle school, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay. You
got me so excited. I jumped ahead.
Thank you. From West Mesa, I got the opportunity to teach at a middle school. It was McKinley Middle School. And there I got to be mentored by Al Cervantes, a long-time, well-respected physical education teacher. And I enjoyed my time there. And then I got a call from Glenn Lucero from Highland High School to coach basketball at Highland. I took that position. I took that as an assistant, and I enjoyed 3 years there. He then resigned. He wanted to do more time with his family, and
I got the honor to play with Glenn Lucero. That was when I was playing basketball for UNM and graduated. And at that time, him and I and a guy named Jim Hart that played with at high. We played in all these AAU tournaments. I mean, we would go all over. We go to Santa Fe, and we'd go to up to Grants and go to Moriarty. I mean, it was amazing, and we almost every weekend, and we could always call Glenn, and we could get a game with anybody. That, and we drove everybody crazy because we wanted to have a gym that we could go play in.
Glenn Lucero, to me, is an unsung hero in basketball, Albuquerque basketball. He did a lot for his kids, did a lot for the Highland basketball program, but he just didn't spend that much time coaching. I think he resigned too early in my estimation, but he was a super person to work with. He was a great individual, and I am glad and fortunate that I got to be on his staff.
He was, at that time, they had 6 men under, 6 foot and under.
Yes.
He dominated. Mm-hmm. They dominated the state. I mean, they would like, I mean, it was unbelievable. They had five. Jim Hart was one of them, and he was one, and they had a team that just went all over and just dominated that sport.
Glenn Lucero was a ball player. His brother, Chris Lucero, played at St. Mary's right here because we played together. Christopher Lucero, yeah.
Well, then you got another call, right?
I got another call from Coach Holzman, Jim Holzman from Albuquerque High, and I got offered a physical education position at Albuquerque High and a assistantship. I spent 7 years there. In my estimation, that was the most rewarding, that was the most learning time that I ever spent. The Coach Holzman deserves to be called a legend of New Mexico basketball because he truly is a legend in New Mexico basketball. He helps kids, he has innovated the game, has just been an inspiration, I think, to not only myself, but a lot of individuals that have an invocation to want to coach. Coach Holzman truly is a legend of New Mexico basketball.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's really impacted ProView Networks and also impacted me. At that time I was playing, got through playing college, and if you remember correctly, there was a 2-week span during Christmas that there was no play. The schools were out, and no APS schools could play during that time. And Jim, an innovator, unbelievable. He would have a game, and he would have the cheerleaders, he'd have the fans come in, have the deal, and they would play against ex-Lobo players, ex-Albuquerque High players, and we did that probably for 6-7 years during your as you were an assistant coach. But also Alvin Meadows was there, and speak on Alvin Meadows. I mean, what a class act there too.
I agree 100%. Class act. I first met Alvin Meadows. We were at Highland together, Highland High School. We were on the same staff with Glenn Lucero. He was the junior varsity coach. And from there, I think we established a very good friendship, and then went to Albuquerque High. He got the job there also. And he is in the Kirtland edition in that area. He is what I would call an inspiration to those kids. He would bust those kids. He would talk to those kids. He would encourage those kids. He would offer them opportunities to get better, to make something of themselves. Alvin Meadows was a true inspiration to kids, was a true coach. He He would gladly share whatever time he had with kids, no matter what he had to do. He'd always put aside anything that he had to do to help kids and to help his fellow coaches. He would always help me in whatever endeavors I had. Alvin Metters, you talk to him, and what he said to you is what it was. Very truthful, very honest, and very forthright. I am thankful that I got to work with Alvin Metters in my career.
I'll tell you what, we're going to go to the Everguard top 10 plays of the week and come back and talk more about Rio Grande High School and also about Pete Pino.
Okay.
Brody back to pass, 5-step drops, got plenty of time. Steps up, got a receiver wide open, caught, touchdown. 31-yard touchdown pass. And it's Ricky Martinez's second reception of the night.
Here is Hansen, blocked. It's Bolden and Steele up front. Another one that could be dangerous. This one's chipped over the top, and there's the opening goal of the game, and it belongs to the La Cueva Bears. Bears players will celebrate down there as it was flicked up and over. It's Mari Kemu.
Back row, Worley looking to set up Kaladic. Nice dig there by Cave. Rams get it over.
Oh, he's out.
And
He's gone.
is gone. It's McGill down the sideline, and Mamba out. Kobe scores.
Henry receives it. And hit by Henry. That's another kill for Kelly Henry's day.
Great toss. And there's another goal for the Bears. Make it 2-0.
Second and 10 for the Bulldogs at their own 41-yard line. Rand will roll right on the quarterback options. Got some blocks. Rand cuts it upfield. Good run by Rand. First down and more. Rand still in the open field. Got one man to beat. Rand is going to go all the way for an Albuquerque High touchdown. So on an option run by Rand, he's got a 61-yard touchdown run for Albuquerque High.
There he goes again, rolling, still rolling, looking down the field, throws across the body, and it's picked off. It's intercepted, and Jackson Cherry is going to go all the way.
Action passes here and there. The zone lead.
The play is blown up. It's a scoop. Can the big fella Mason Posas go all the way for the house call? Yes, sir. Posas in.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Everguard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Everguard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Pete Pino, athletic director of Rio Grande High School, and if I'm correct, you got a new calling after Albuquerque High.
I applied for the basketball position at Rio Grande High School, and I was fortunate to get that position. It was a head position, and I got the job, and so I had another endeavor to attend.
What year was that? That was like
1992, 93.
93. So I started coaching, I don't know, right around, I think it was 1999. Okay, I started with Frank Castile, and I'm going to speak about you. So one was we hated playing you because, and we hated the environment. We had to going down to Rio. What an environment! Talk about the environment that Rio Grande fans and the community have for basketball.
Okay, basketball at Rio Grande in the South Valley is something that the kids look forward to playing for their school. They want to play for the school, and they love basketball. I know it's been said we don't have the size, but that doesn't stop those kids. They want to play basketball. And going back to what you just said about you coaching that coach with Frank Castile. Frank Castile was an excellent coach, very good coach for La Cueva. And I remember you also. You were very congenial to me. We would have our end of the games, and you would always shake my hand. You would always give me a smile and encouragement, and we go from there. I used to appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it was, and you said it. At that time, La Cueva was one of the top teams and still, but every game that we played, and I can remember this very vividly. When we went to Rio Grande, it was a packed stadium. It was full, and it was a 1 or 2 point ball game going into the fourth quarter, and for somehow we would pull away in the last 2 or 3 minutes. But for the whole game, it was a 1 or 2 point game, and it was just almost we dreaded. And I have one more story with that. So I went 5 years. With Frank, and then I went with Tom Knobber, and when we got on his coaching staff, y'all always played Sandy. I don't know if you remember that. We played
Yes.
Sandy the first game,
Yes.
and in Tom Knobber's career, he said he has never beat you the first game. Y'all always beat them on the first game. Yeah. And so I said, well, that's going to change when I get here. We're going to win that game. And so next year, we did come out and win. But I'm just saying that's how much respect that your teams had when you went and played. And the other thing that people don't realize, you were way ahead of your time in the way of the future. And first of all, it was the summer. You traveled and you played probably 50. I mean, it was the first 2 or 3 years of that you could go do it, and you really took advantage of that.
Well,
So you didn't even remember. I realized that you played 50 to 100 games.
Mr. Davis, you got a fantastic memory. The rules were different then. Travel was allowed. A lot of games were allowed, and we just took advantage of it. That's part of coaching. Yeah.
And then you were a trendsetter, okay? I mean, I was jealous about this because is that you were the first coach that I know of that wore tennis shoes at a game. And I was jealous because we had to wear, we had to dress up, we had to wear hard nose. But tell me why. I mean, you told me earlier, but what a great reason to be wearing tennis shoes.
Okay. Well, honestly, and you being a ball player, coming up, playing basketball, taking care of your gym, taking ownership of your gym that you have at your home, school, and you always protect your floor. You don't let anyone walk on your floor with street shoes or any kind of shoes that will mark it up. So what better way than if a coach, if I'm going to be on that sideline, if I'm going to be on that court, then I follow what I've been taught. I follow what I've been preaching through the years. Stay off the floor with the street shoes. So you wear tennis shoes. That's the way it is.
Well, we really know the real reason. We know you got that first Nike contract, and that's the reason you started the trend. And from there, it all started at Rio Grande. That all the coaches wear tennis shoes during the game.
I wish that was true.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Rio Grande High School.
Yes, sir.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Pete Pino, athletic director of Rio Grande High School, and we're talking about your coaching career. And what are some of your great memories of coaching at Rio Grande? And speak on that.
Well, thank you. My greatest moments. First of all, I've never won a state championship. That's everybody's goal, and anyone that coaches.
But it's not the most important.
No, it's not the most important, but just to set everything in perspective. Some of the greatest moments that I've had coaching kids, is when a kid would come up to me and say, "Coach, I got that left-handed layup. I made it with my left hand." A great moment is when a kid would come up to me and said, "I ran that sprint in 22." I mean, that was fulfillment for that kid. He was doing something in his view that was important. Greatest thing was when we're down by a lot of points and we'd come up, and successful or not, we still had the initiative to not quit, to keep going hard and make up a lot of points against us, and that was a great in my coaching, something to me, I felt accomplished when we would come back from behind the score. Things that were great to me is when I'd get a Christmas card from one of my players saying, "Coach, you have a good Christmas," and a lot of those cards came from kids that weren't even starters, kids that didn't play a whole lot, but they still, I think, had a good relationship with me. Good memories of kids working hard in practice. And, you know, you're not going to win every game, but if you work and thrive to do good at every game, I think that speaks a lot about the kids you have and about what you're trying to instill in them.
Well, me speaking outside the box a little bit and watching and coaching against you for those years is that your players never thought they were an underdog. They really believed they could come out and win that game every game, and they even if they were overmatched or whatever, but they came out and they pushed the limits, and you got to be proud of that.
Mr. Davis, thank you for saying that. At Rio, in my tenure there, I've got to know a lot of good kids, a lot of kids with character, kids with ambition, kids that drive to be the best they can be. I've got to work with some coaches that were just excellent. My assistant coaches like Mark Portillo's, people like that I wouldn't trade my experience with them for anything.
Now you had one more calling, I guess, right? I mean, this is where you're at right now, and you're the athletic director, and speak on that behalf.
I got the opportunity to be athletic director at Rio Grande High School. And it was during my tenure, I was coaching at the time, basketball, and I felt it was a little too much to do both. So I went just with athletic director. My stay as athletic director at Rio has been very rewarding, has been very self-fulfilling, and I'm grateful that I've had to work with some very good principals and some very good coaches, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, I'm thankful that they let you come and take some time and come be on the Steve Davis Show.
Mr. Davis, the Steve Davis Show for 10, 11, or as many 13 years that it's been, has always been on the minds of anyone associated with athletics. You do a fantastic job. I'm honored and humbled to be here. I thank you for your invitation, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to have you back on the show because we didn't talk about all the good things that are happening down at Rio Grande. So next year we're going to have you come, and all we're going to talk about is what's happening at Rio Grande. But I want to thank you for taking your time and being on the Steve Davis Show.
Mr. Davis, thank you, sir.
And you have a great day.
Thank you.